What's going on, Average Joes? Today, I want to have some more fun and I want to do a reread, rewrite, and burn books. So, first, as always, like, subscribe, please. Show this channel some love. Drop me some comments down below. That's where I like to interact with and talk with people. But to explain today's video, so I'm going to draw three books. This is another one of those just randomized drawing three books thing that I just want to have some fun with. But this time, out of the three books, I'm going to decide to reread them, rewrite them, or burn them. I feel like I saw somebody do this before. It might have been Megan who did something similar like this that inspired this video, but it might have been something like unhaul, reread, or something like that. I don't know, along those lines. But I don't know. I keep a notes tab of video ideas, and I saw this one, and I was like, well, might as well do that. So I'll choose three books. I will choose one to reread, one to rewrite, and one to just burn and get rid of. A little bit more about me. So these are kind of like it's I never reread books. So the reread, some people might think like, oh, okay, that's the good ones that you want to pick. I don't reread books ever. I think even there's even a few like handful of books to where I might think, yeah, one day I think I might be interested in rereading this, but there's still about 100 books that I haven't read that I'd rather read before I reread another book because who knows, maybe I can discover a new favorite. Maybe it could be another one that I would rather discover something new and experience something new than to go back to something I already know and playing it safe and just be like, okay, let's see what other nuggets I can pick up because I already know what's going to happen. So maybe in a year or two when I've already whittled down my list, but it seems like the longer I read, the more books I want to read, which is just weird and stupid, but that seems to how reading goes. So I never reread, literally never reread a book in my life. The rewrite is, to me, it's just going to be something that, okay, I kind of liked it. There's enough to like about it, but maybe it needs to be cut down. Maybe something needs to be added. Maybe something needs to be reworded, reordered, something to make it a little bit better, more tweak. It's probably going to be something that just little nitpicky stuff that I think that would make the book better. And I'm not going to rewrite it. It's more like, hey, here's my notes to the author. Could you do this just for me? Pretty please. Please, thanks, love you, bye. And then burn is just, it's just going to be the bottom of the barrel of the books. And while I don't exactly condone burning books, this is just for this video. So that's what we're going to do today. Pretty simple. I don't know how many I'm going to do. I'm just going to see how it goes. And we're going to talk about books. So I have expanded my wheel that I'm going to spin that I normally spin for my randomized book thing. So I've included a whole bunch of others, some thrillers, some nonfiction, and some books that I do not like. So we're going to see. It's going to be interesting on this. I'm going to record my screen. Alrighty, so we're going to spin and spin. First book will be Priory of the Orange Tree. The next book will be Out. And I will explain all these books. Oh, The Last Wish. Wow. Okie doke. And the third and final one for this round, at least. Oh, that's just weird. I didn't realize I had duplicates on there. Okay, so we're gonna spin this one again because The Last Witch is the only book that I've read in The Witcher. Apparently, I can't spell Dracula. So, first three are going to be Priory, Last Wish, and Dracula. Oh man, that is already a tough one because okay, so to explain these books, Priory of the Orange Tree, there are this is a standalone fantasy that I've talked about a few times. There's dragons, there's magic, there's two different forces of dragons that are kind of opposed to each other. There's a lot of old magic in this world and a couple of different nations, some that don't get along, some that don't even talk to each other, but they kind of band together and fight these dragons kind of ordeal. It's really hard to, it's actually kind of a complicated plot to explain real quick. That's Priory. Last Wish is The Witcher. So that's the first book of The Witcher with all of the different short stories, which I've read and I actually really enjoyed it. And then Dracula's Dracula. So for this, reread. Oh man. So I guess I'm gonna have to reread Priory because I mean I have a hard enough time describing the plot and everything that goes on. So that might be. I mean, okay. So for context on this, I never reread books. So I'll probably reread Priory because it's. I mean, it's hard enough for me to explain the plot. So it might be good to reread it and see if I missed anything going throughout. I will rewrite Dracula, and that is because not, I mean, it might be sacrilege for that because it's such an old classic book. You wouldn't want to rewrite it. But in modern day, like I struggled with the modern day language, or like the older language, and some of the parts that dragged on a little bit longer than it should have been. Might could have been chopped out or changed language here and there. I mean, everybody's done a lot of retellings or stuff for Dracula anyway, so I don't think that's too crazy. And then the Last Wish, I'll get rid of. I'll burn because it's just a bunch of short stories of The Witcher. They're really good, but there's an entire other book with short stories of The Witcher to kind of get a feel for him. And number 2, let's see, Talented. Talented, I haven't talked about on this channel. Is a YA series. Oh, come on, I just did Dracula. How's that work? Axiom's N, number 3. Great Codes. So, Talented is a YA series. I believe it is 8 or 9 books. All of them are on Kindle Unlimited. This is actually the very first series I experienced on Kindle Unlimited when I first learned about it. But Talented is a YA series, and it's pretty interesting. This has a lot of super tropey YA stuff. There's still the very dramatic, emotional teen girl, and she's the kind of the main character. There's a love triangle, that typical stuff. But the premise is pretty cool. It takes place in our future, and some people have certain abilities. I don't know if there was some sort of toxic event that happened. I forget. But people have certain abilities, and you can kind of tell which abilities people have because it actually changes the color of their eye color. And there's like telekinetics, and I don't even remember all of them, but there's a bunch of those. And there's like a school where they start off where all these talented people go. They call them the Talented, and they're also part of the strike force of that country. And then there's like the U.S. is divided. There's also the other side of the country where talented are shunned and demonized and like looked down upon. And there's other countries that are like that as well. Like in England, they like later in books, you go to England and you see that the talented there, even though they are powerful, they are basically in a slave trade. They are thought of as no longer human citizens, and they are basically in slave trade. So that is Talented. Axiom Zen is a first contact alien story. So, and aliens have come down, they first contact, and then there's this one particular alien who only talked to this one, the main girl. And it was pretty good. It was very good for a first contact story. I believe there's going to be a sequel, but Axiom Zen was good for a first contact story. And then the Great Coats is the Great Coats. So I've talked about it a bunch on this channel. It has to do with very musketeer-y Great Coats, and I'm totally going to reread the Great Coats because I love Kest Brasti and Falcio. How did I miss Falcio? I definitely love those 3. So Great Coats is 100% happening. Talented and Axiom Zen. Man, this is tough because although I did like Axiom Zen, it's mean to like burn a self-published person's book. Talented had a lot of cool stuff to it. It was super YA and tropey-y. So I might say rewrite Talented because it's 8 books long. It doesn't need to be. There are a couple of books that had some fluff where not much happens. It could have been succinct to about 4, maybe 5 books, and cut out a lot of that YA crap that and then we'll burn Axiom's End because it's first contact story and it's good, but that's about it. So that is what those 3 will be. All right, round number 3, Blood and Bone. Sex. Oh man. All right, so these are pretty decent series. Okay, so Blood and Bone, talked about this recently. This is the follow-on series to Faithful and the Fallen. So it takes place about 130 years after the events of Faithful and the Fallen, and they are going and trying to banish the last bit of evil in their world. Can't say too much because of spoilers for Faithful and the Fallen, but Blood and Bone is one of my favorite series. I just highlighted it recently in with the Time of Courage in the my top fantasy books. So Blood and Bone, fantastic. Saxon Saga is historical fiction of I don't even know the time period, but Saxons, English, a lot of war. They made the show The Last Kingdom. That's the Saxon Saga. That's what it's based off of. So you have Uhtred, son of Uhtred, and he's everywhere and on everybody's side and on nobody's side, and just is always at war and changing sides and doing all that kind of crazy stuff. And Sebastian Saint Cyr, apparently I was saying that wrong, Cyr, Cyr, even though Cry is just makes more sense to me even for the first time I read it. But Sebastian, that is the murder mystery book series that I recently highlighted in Why You Should Read. So that makes this really hard. But A Blood and Bone, I have to reread because I love it so much. And I don't think there's going to be any nuggets that I didn't see the first time because it's not like there's that much of deep references in A Blood and Bone. But I think it would still be enjoyable. I'd still enjoy it a lot. And Returning to the World is just fantastic. I'm going to burn Saxon Saga because it's a lot of the same stuff over and over again. I mean, historical fiction is good and all. I don't have that strong of a passion for historical fiction, and there were just it just always felt repetitive. And I'm even taking a break from the series. I think I'm on the last book or two, and I'm taking a long break because I would just listen to it, and it's like, oh, we're doing this again, and oh, Uhtred's on this side again, and oh, you guys are fighting each other because of religious reasons, and you're doing this for religious reasons, and all right, we're just the same rigmarole here and there. Sebastian, I will rewrite. I don't know what I would rewrite about it. Maybe I would make them expand longer on characters, maybe give the side characters more stuff, maybe change some of the formulaic murder mysteries, give roles to some other people. I mean, there's certain things you can do with the murder mysteries, each of them, to give either more depth to some characters or some subterfuge into the plot. So first of the last ones, Keepers, Pawn's Gambit. Oh, I I almost got excited to bash Tagana for a second. All right, so Keepers of the Lost City. This is a middle grade series that is about 9 books long. The last book is supposed to come out. I thought it was supposed to come out this year, but I guess maybe it's not till next year. I don't know. But there is a secret magical world, like kind of underneath. There is elves, trolls, dwarves, all of those people. And the main character finds out she's an elf, and she goes down and lives in the elven world. And it is very magical, very nice. But there's some secrets, always secrets to be discovered. There are double agents. There are people that are trying to take down the elven world to have I believe, the orcs or ogres, one of those, take over. A lot of things like that are happening, and the world itself is very magical, very enjoyable. Pawn's Gambit is book 2 in the Mortal Techniques series. This is after Never Die. They are standalones in the world, but it's best to read them in order, I think. Pawn's Gambit is in the perspective of a battle tactician, and it's called Pawn's Gambit because this is she's a very good chess player, and she was taught by playing chess, and she is a awesome tactician. And then she enters into this contest. Each of the gods select their champion, and they have to find these missing items and subvert the other champions. And then the winner has to there's a final test at the end. But she's a battle tactician. It is a fantastic book in the Mortal Techniques. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And the Invisible Library, this one, there is a magical society of this great grand library, and it is portal fantasy. So they go into these other worlds to retrieve books and works of art. So mostly it's just books that go to these other parallel earths, and they're all different. They're all, some of them have scientific technology, other ones are back in time. They're all over the place, but this agency sends their agents back through these portals to get these books back, and stuff happens basically. So this is the 3 books. I am going to reread Pawn's Gambit because it was fantastic. I should have done something different on the series. Messed that one up. Next time, when a series comes up, I will do a number generator so I can pick specifically each book. But Keepers, I'm going to rewrite because some of the main characters, are super annoying. The main girl, and one of the boys, Keefe, whatever you want to say, super annoying. That's why I have to take breaks from the books. The stories and the world themselves are fantastic, but the characters are just super childish and annoying. And I mean, yeah, it's middle grades, what you expect, but they weren't that bad in like Harry Potter and like Green Glass Houses and the like. So I will definitely rewrite some of the Keepers and how the kids act at times. And then Invisible Library, I will burn because I've only read the first one. It is decent. I haven't felt compelled. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5. I haven't felt compelled to continue, even though we have the next one. My wife really likes it, but that is that one. And maybe I'll just do one bonus one. Maybe just one bonus. Mistborn 1. Ooh. I think Wounded Kingdom would have been a good one for this. So this one has a decent bit of reread potential. So Mistborn is Mistborn. I don't know if many to go into that too much. People can consume and manipulate metals. The actual Mistborns can manipulate all metals, and there's a bunch of different ways or different metals do different things. Not all mistings or people that can digest metals can use them, and there's a bunch of other people that can do things with metals. And the magic system in this is just so in depth and complicated, but awesome. I don't even think I need to do the series one like I said I was going to do on this. Wicked Deep is about a small town, I think in Oregon or Seattle. It's very northwestern. Pretty sure it's in Oregon. And every year, I think around Halloween or something, there were these like decades or 100 years ago or something. There were these sisters that I forgot what they did, but they got drowned. And then now their spirits come back every year in October time frame, and they take over, possess someone's body, and they live vicariously, or what they actually live in and through them for a certain period of time. And while they come back, they pull people, they lure people into the water and drown them or kill them. And that is the mystery behind this. And it was a very good mystery. I liked it a lot. One or two of the twists were either very scripted, saw it coming, or very surprising. And then Great Train Robbery, the only Michael Crichton book that I've read so far, is about a great train robbery from the 1800s sometime in the railroads when England, when they were being constructed, and there's a train, a great train robbery heist. So they're trying to rob a train with gold, and this is the entire process they go through for that. So I think 100% I have to reread Mistborn. I think that's toward the top of a lot of people's lists for reread because of how in-depth the magic system is, and because I've read throughout along. So it doesn't matter which book I would reread of those three. I'm going to pick up something that I didn't see before because I have read Era 2 as well. And I think there'd be a lot of nuggets to pick up on in Mistborn Era 1. Rewrite probably the Great Train Robbery, because in the beginning of that book, I felt like it was just very historical heavy. And it was like, I did get worried that it was just going to be like a historical fiction, very history heavy. And there's a lot of history to it, but it actually becomes a good heist and narrative to this with the story. So I'd probably do something with the beginning to make it more appealing. Wicked Deep, I will burn because it's a mystery. It's a creepy mystery, but like once you've read it, you don't really. I could go back and probably see some hints as to it. I think that could be a good point, but I think the heist of Great Train Robbery would be a bit better than the little spookiness that is in Wicked Deep. So that is my reread, rewrite, or burn books video. I'm not even going to call this a tag. It's just a thing that I decided to do. So would you be interested in some of this? What would you do differently on these three? And if you are a content creator, go ahead and once again, take this idea, do it, see what you want to do. The hardest part is just writing out a list of all of the books that you want to spin on a wheel. So that's the biggest draw. But other than that, that's the only prep you got to do. So let me know what you think about this video, this style of video, and if you would do anything different of these, and we'll chat more in the comments.